never ever thought that we would get this far, but I always know that I had stars.
I had a stance on gun violence. I'm totally against gun violence.
Titania Davenport lost her son more than 3 years ago, and justice still hasn't come through. Every Mother's Day since November 2022, she wakes up to nothing but silence. No calls, no family dinners, no laughter filling the kitchen. Just grief, and a case that keeps getting pushed back over and over again. Meanwhile, the man accused in her son's death is still out on bond, walking free while the courtroom delays keep piling up. Now, things just took another sharp turn. The accused suddenly dropped his entire legal team and brought in some of the biggest defense lawyers in Texas right before trial, with help from none other than Jay Prince. That move has people talking heavy and emotions are running high. Before getting into Titania's reaction to this shocking switch, it's important to break down what really happened the night Takeoff lost his life, how his mother has stayed strong through it all, and where this case stands right now, because it's about to get serious in court. Takeoff was known as one of the most talented voices in rap, respected for his calm delivery and sharp storytelling before his life was cut short at just 28 years old. Born Kersnick Kari Ball on June 18, 1994 in Lawrenceville, Georgia, he was raised by his mother Titania Davenport on Atlanta's South Side.
Since the last time that we were in court, I believe it was December 5th, we've received a substantial amount of discovery that we have reviewed.
His father, Walter Bennett, known in the streets as Silk, was in and out of prison during Takeoff's early years and later passed away when Takeoff was only 11. From that point on, Titania held everything together and became his main source of strength. She was his whole world. Takeoff grew up right beside his uncle Quavo. Yeah, his uncle. Even though they were close in age, the two of them, along with Offset, came together and built Migos, one of the most influential rap groups in the last 2 decades. They dropped major hits like Bad and Bougie, Motorsport, and Walk It Talkin', shaping a whole new wave of trap music that had everyone copying their style. By his mid-20s, Takeoff and his family had leveled up from Atlanta streets to performing on massive stages around the world. But even with all that fame, he stayed low-key, drama-free, and focused. People in the industry kept it real about him. They said he was solid, genuine, and never caught up in mess. No beef, no chaos, just moving smart and keeping to himself. His mother always shared how he gave his life to Christ at just 14 years old, walking down that aisle on his own. That says everything about his character and how he was raised.
Was hit even though police say he had nothing to do with that dice game or the argument. Matt Doherty, live outside the Harris County Jail in downtown Houston with the latest. Matt?
Which makes what happened on November 1st, 2022 hit even harder because he wasn't even involved in anything leading up to that moment. It was Halloween weekend in Houston, and Quavo and Takeoff were out celebrating. They had just released their joint album, Only Built for Infinity Links, less than a month earlier, and everything was going up. The vibes were right, success was flowing, and they were on top of their game. Jay Prince Jr., son of Houston rap figure Jay Prince, had organized a private after-hours gathering at 810 Billiards and Bowling in downtown Houston. This wasn't just any party, it was a tight, exclusive crowd. Rappers, athletes, and well-known Houston figures were all in the mix, including professional boxer Shakur Stevenson. Around 40 people were still hanging around after the party wrapped close to 1 a.m., and that's when a dice game started. Quavo ended up in a heated disagreement with a couple of men over the game, reportedly about money, and words were exchanged in a tense environment where things can turn serious real fast. An associate connected to the group, Willie Bland, saw the situation getting out of control and felt like something bigger might be about to happen. Never ever thought that we would get this far, but I already always know I had stars. Without any signal or agreement from others, he stepped in and threw a punch, but it landed on the wrong person at the worst possible moment. The second that hit connected, everything spiraled. Multiple people started firing weapons in different directions, and the scene turned chaotic in seconds. Takeoff, who wasn't involved in the dice game, not part of the disagreement, and not carrying anything, was simply standing nearby. When everything broke loose, he was struck during the chaos, hit twice in the crossfire. Emergency responders later confirmed he passed at the scene around 2:40 a.m. Authorities made it clear during a press conference that Takeoff was an innocent bystander caught in a situation he had nothing to do with. "I can tell you that Takeoff was not involved in playing in the dice game," Sergeant Michael Burrows stated publicly. He also confirmed that Takeoff wasn't part of the argument and wasn't carrying any weapon at the time. A 28-year-old man who had nothing to do with any conflict lost his life on a concrete sidewalk outside a bowling alley, all because someone else's dice game went left. For weeks, Houston stayed quiet.
Clark, the man accused of killing Migos rapper Takeoff, appearing before a Harris County judge. Clark's bond set at $2 million, but his lawyer wants that amount reduced.
No big updates, just tension in the air while authorities worked behind the scenes and people waited for answers. Then on December 1st, 2022, things finally shifted. The Houston Police Department's gang division stopped 33-year-old Patrick Xavier Clark, known around the city as DJ Pat, during the traffic stop. He had a firearm on him, not the one tied to the incident, but still enough to raise serious concern. By that point, investigators had already built a strong case through weeks of surveillance, analysis, and forensic work, giving them enough reason to take action right there. Here's where things get intense. Surveillance cameras across downtown Houston reportedly captured Clark that night holding a weapon in one hand and a wine bottle in the other. This wasn't based on rumors or just witness accounts. This was video evidence that investigators carefully reviewed. According to reports, the footage shows him aiming and firing in the direction of the group where Takeoff was standing, adding a major layer to the case. We know the problem, but we need to come up with more solutions to the problem. After everything unfolded, the same footage shows him moving quickly across the street toward the nearby House of Blues, leaving the wine bottle behind as he went. Authorities later recovered that bottle and tested it, finding fingerprints that matched Patrick Clark. On top of that, investigators used detailed ballistic analysis to map out the scene, concluding that Clark was positioned in the exact spot where the activity that affected Takeoff originated, based on angles, distance, and trajectory. But here's where things got even worse for Clark. Before his arrest, investigators discovered that after the incident, he had been searching his own name and age online, trying to see what information was out there about the case. That raised serious questions about what he knew and what he was trying to find out. Then it didn't stop there. Within days of the incident, he reportedly applied for an expedited passport and even bought plane tickets to Mexico. When authorities stopped him on December 1st, he had a large amount of cash on him, along with a full travel plan ready to go, which only added more pressure to the situation. At his first court appearance, the judge looked at all of this and set his bond at $2 million. His legal team pushed back and managed to get it reduced to $1 million, which Clark posted in January 2023. Just like that, he walked out of Harris County Jail on bond, wearing a GPS ankle monitor, but still back out in public while the case continued. From the very beginning, Clark has said he is not responsible. His defense team claims he was acting in self-defense and argues that the prosecution cannot prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was identified as the one responsible for the actions that led to Takeoff's death, especially with how many weapons were involved that night. They also question whether the ballistic analysis is fully reliable. In May 2023, a Harris County grand jury formally charged Clark. If convicted, he could face decades behind bars, anywhere from 25 years to life. And after that, the delays started piling up. While Clark has been moving through the legal system step by step, Titania Davenport has been carrying this pain every single day, waiting for answers that still haven't come. She has spoken openly about the moments that hit her the hardest every year, the dates that really stay with her. Takeoff's birthday in June, the anniversary of his passing on November 1st, and Mother's Day are the ones that weigh the most. "The first one I did not want to be bothered," she shared with Rolling Stone in 2025, reflecting on that first Mother's Day after everything happened. The following year, she tried to push through and cook because cornbread dressing was one of Takeoff's favorite meals, but even saying it out loud brought her to tears. That's the reality of who she is, a mother who raised her son on her own, watched him rise to become one of the most recognized names in music, and saw him give back by buying her a house and a Benz to show his love. Then suddenly, she had to lay him to rest at just 28, all tied to a situation he wasn't even involved in. But Titania didn't just stay silent, she took action. 7 months after the incident, in June 2023, she filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the owners of 810 Billiards and Bowling, the location where everything happened. Her claim was direct and serious. She said the venue had prior notice that a high-profile after-hours event was taking place, with celebrities, athletes, and well-known figures expected to attend. According to the lawsuit, they understood the type of crowd this would bring, but failed to increase security. No extra screening, no added control for the late hours, and no strong enforcement of safety protocols. The case outlines 18 separate claims of negligence and is seeking over $1 million in damages, including funeral costs, lost future income, emotional distress, and wrongful death claims. Her attorneys didn't hold back in their filing. They stated Takeoff suffered severe injuries, went through conscious pain, experienced deep emotional distress, and was aware of what was happening in those final moments before his passing. That wording hit heavy and made the situation even more real for everyone reading it. But the response from the venue came just as strong. The bowling alley pushed back hard and tried to get the case dismissed completely. One of the companies tied to the property, Midway Companies LLC, went even further and filed documents that shifted blame onto Takeoff himself, claiming he failed to exercise proper care for his own safety. That move had people shocked, especially considering what had already been said publicly. On top of that, 810 Billiards and Bowling added their own argument, pointing to the dice game and the presence of illegal weapons as the real cause of what happened, trying to remove responsibility from their side. It turned into a serious back and forth, with both sides standing firm on their claims. Titania wasn't backing down at all. She came right back in her filings, making it clear once again that her son was an innocent bystander, exactly in line with what Houston police had already confirmed during their press conference. She stayed consistent and kept pushing for accountability. And as if that wasn't enough, another layer of tension showed up. Takeoff's father, Kenneth Ball, stepped into the situation. Since Takeoff didn't leave behind a will, his estimated $26 million estate, including music rights, earnings, and assets, became a major issue. Under Georgia law, that estate goes to the closest living relatives, and since he had no children, that means both parents. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more complicated, the courtroom drama took another sharp turn. The criminal case started dragging with delay after delay, pushing back any sense of closure. Hearings got rescheduled, timelines stretched, and every time a new date was set, it felt like it could shift again at any moment. Then came a move that had everybody talking. Right before trial, Patrick Clark made a bold decision. He dropped his entire legal team and brought in high-profile defense attorneys from Texas. That kind of last-minute switch raised eyebrows instantly, especially with how serious the case already is. People started questioning the timing, the strategy, and what this could mean for how everything plays out in court. What really added fuel to the situation was the reported connection to Jay Prince. His name being tied to the new legal support brought even more attention, with many wondering what kind of influence or impact this could have moving forward. It turned a legal battle into something even bigger, with eyes from all over watching closely. Meanwhile, Titania Davenport is still standing strong through it all. Every delay, every motion, every change, it all adds more weight to a process that already feels long and exhausting. But she continues to show up, speak out, and push for accountability, making it clear she's not letting this situation fade. Into the background. Kenneth didn't stay on the sidelines either. He stepped into the bowling alley lawsuit as a separate plaintiff, seeking his own $1 million in damages. So now Titania has been dealing with everything all at once. The legal fight with the venue, the dispute over the estate, and the ongoing criminal case, all while carrying the weight of that loss. And through it all, she's continued showing up and standing strong. She even met with Kamala Harris at the White House to speak on gun violence, turning her pain into purpose. She's also been working closely with Quavo's Rocket Foundation, which was created to help address gun violence and honor Takeoff's legacy. Her efforts didn't stop there either. In May 2024, she organized a powerful Mother's Day brunch at the Waldorf Astoria in Atlanta, bringing together mothers from across the country who've experienced similar loss, including some connected to the Uvalde tragedy. The room was filled with emotion, strength, and shared understanding. She told those women, "It's not a sprint to the finish line, it's a walk. Sometimes it's a crawl, and sometimes someone has to pick you up and carry you on their shoulders." And that message really stuck with everyone there. She's been doing meaningful work while still waiting for answers. But then, the case took an unexpected turn that nobody saw coming. In early 2024, reports surfaced about a forensic analyst from the Houston Forensic Science Center named Rochelle Austin being dismissed from her role, and the reason raised serious concerns. She was accused of mishandling DNA evidence across multiple cases, including issues with sample handling and not properly following chain of custody procedures. The Harris County District Attorney's Office had to file what's known as a Brady Notice, which legally requires prosecutors to share any information that could potentially help the defense. And this wasn't minor. Officials confirmed that this situation was connected to 392 criminal cases impacted by the analyst's actions. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Clark's case was not directly listed among those affected cases, but there's still a major connection. Rochelle Austin had been named as a possible witness in the Takeoff trial, and once that came out, it opened the door for the defense to question the credibility of the forensic side of the case. Legal experts broke it down clearly. When the chain of custody can't be fully verified, the reliability of the evidence starts to fall apart. And if the defense can introduce even a small level of doubt about how evidence was handled, that can be enough to influence how a jury views the entire situation. That's a big reason why this case has been moving so slowly. The discovery process has taken months, with both sides going back and forth reviewing evidence, addressing forensic concerns, and filing motion after motion. It's been a long, detailed process with no shortcuts. Clark's legal team has been pushing hard to examine every detail of the prosecution's case before stepping into trial. They've been focused on breaking down every piece of evidence to make sure nothing goes unchecked. And now, here's the latest twist that's got everyone watching closely. Just days ago, Patrick Xavier Clark made a major move. He let go of his entire legal team and brought in some of the most well-known criminal defense attorneys in Texas, completely shifting the direction of the case. He replaced his longtime attorney, Letitia Quinones Hollins, with Kent Schaefer, a well-known and highly experienced Houston defense lawyer recognized for handling complex, high-profile cases. And he didn't stop there. He also brought in Dan, Dale, and Anthony to join the team alongside Schaefer, building a serious legal lineup. Court filings made it clear this move wasn't meant to stall anything, especially since a trial date is finally locked in. After more than 3 years of delays, pre-trial hearings, and constant rescheduling, things are finally moving forward. Jury selection is set to begin on November 5, 2026, with the trial officially starting on November 9th. That's nearly 4 years after the incident happened on that sidewalk. And now, Patrick Clark is set to face a jury and have the case fully examined in court. This new legal team signals a major shift in strategy. There's no indication of a settlement or agreement. He's preparing to challenge everything head-on. With a strong defense team in place, the plan is clear. Make the prosecution prove every single detail of their case in front of 12 jurors, leaving no room for assumptions. For Titania Davenport, that date, November 9th, 2026, represents years of waiting, pushing, and holding on through every legal battle, every public appearance, every emotional moment, and every effort to keep her son's name alive. From community events to national conversations, she stayed committed to seeking accountability. Takeoff's passing impacted the entire hip-hop community in a major way, not just because of the loss itself, but because of the kind of person he was known to be. He was the quiet presence in Migos, the one who stayed out of drama, didn't chase attention, and kept things low-key while still delivering undeniable talent. And that's what makes this whole situation hit even harder. People close to him have always said the same thing. He stayed in his own lane, focused on music, family, and leveling up without getting pulled into unnecessary issues. In an industry where drama often brings attention, he moved differently, and that's exactly why so many people respected him. Now, with the trial finally around the corner, all eyes are locked in on what's about to happen next. This isn't just another court case. This is a moment that's been building for years, with layers of legal battles, public attention, and unanswered questions leading up to it. The courtroom is about to become the center of everything, and every move will be watched closely. There's still a lot on the line. The prosecution is expected to lean heavily on surveillance footage, forensic findings, and witness accounts to lay out their version of events. At the same time, the defense is ready to challenge every detail, raising questions and pushing back on anything they see as uncertain or incomplete. And through all of this, Titania Davenport is still standing firm, still showing up, and still making sure her son's story isn't forgotten. She's been consistent from day one, and now she's getting closer to the moment where everything will be laid out in front of a jury. He was consistently described by the people around him as thoughtful, creative, and deeply loyal to his family. That wasn't just talk either. He once shared that he had paid off his mother's car and was waiting for approval on a new home. He even called himself the best son in the world, and by every account that truly matters, he lived up to that. His legacy isn't just in music, it's in how he moved and how he treated the people closest to him. He left behind a powerful catalog that his mother is now working hard to protect. He left behind a family still feeling the weight of his absence years later. And beyond that, he left behind a whole generation of artists who studied his flow, his timing, and his delivery, building their own paths off what they learned from him. What happened on November 1st, 2022 was truly heartbreaking. A man who wasn't part of any disagreement, not involved in any tension, and not connected to the situation unfolding around him, lost his life simply because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. It all unfolded around him, and he had no role in the decisions being made in that moment. Titania Davenport said it best when she spoke to a room full of grieving mothers in Atlanta last Mother's Day. She said, "Give yourself grace," and shared her belief that her son is with the Lord because of the path he chose early in life. But she kept it real and said, "I miss my son every day. I still wish he was here on earth." And that message hit deep. Now, all eyes are on November 2026, the moment that could finally bring answers after years of waiting. If you've been following this story, make sure you tap that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts below, because this is one case people won't stop watching.